going to start the recording here, and then if you have any, or I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about here.
Enemies detected. This will protect us. Barrier destroyed.
All right.
My aim can be very on and off at times.
So far it's looking a little bit shaky to me. What is your
Yeah.
sensitivity?
7.
7, and then do you know what your DPI is?
800.
All right, so that is a pretty high sensitivity. For comparison, I have 800 and 4.5, and I from a lot of just research, I'd say mine is just averagely low. So I'd probably say yours is either mid to high. Do you have a large mouse pad or a small mouse pad?
I don't have one at all.
Don't have one
Actually.
at all? Okay, well,
No.
that also might have a big impact on just shaky, like at it being shaky because mouse pads are a better tracking surface, and your mouse is
Yeah.
going to be able to detect it easier than like whatever desk you're using. So a couple different things here, just as recommendations. First off, I just want to clarify that sensitivity is preference based, and there are professionals, though it is rarer, who on hit scan characters will use high sensitivities. For example, Pine, who he used to I don't even know if he's Overwatch League anymore, but in any case, he was a hit scan player who had very high sensitivity. But I would say that it's very much more common for hit scan players to have a low sensitivity, because it's going to allow you to be a lot more precise with and accurate with how you go and hit shots, especially for headshots. So my recommendation would be, first off, get a mouse pad. Those you can get a pretty cheap one for probably like $10, but like for a decent one, it shouldn't be any more than 20 max. And get it, and then preferably maybe get a larger one. It doesn't need to cover your whole desk, but even just anything that's not just like a tiny little office one. And then the second thing is I would maybe lower your sensitivity down. Now you can test it out, see, like, try it out, try low sensitivity. It can maybe be on like a little bit higher end, but you might notice you might have more accuracy. Don't take it just from the first day. You're gonna have to take a couple days to get used to it. So if the first day it's not going too well, don't panic or don't immediately swap back. Just try it out for a little bit and see if the sensitivity is working better for you. But yeah, you can try, like, I probably say like cutting in half would be average, but you don't necessarily have to go that drastically to start off, right? You can maybe just cut it down a little bit, see how it feels, cut down a little bit more, see how it feels, right? Just try it, mess around with it. But I would say that right now it's just looking very shaky, and that could be from just having a very high sensitivity and also not having a mouse pad. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna drag it back here a little bit. I'm gonna talk about crosshair placement at the moment, or in a moment is what I meant to say. Okay, here we do a very wide peak, so we might, there's not enough here to actually go super in depth yet on this topic, but just for the moment, keep in mind that good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. Here we peak very, very far away from cover, whereas the cover that we'd be using would be this left wall. So for example here, if we wanted to, like, we could peek here and using this left wall, and now if anybody looks at us, they go, boom, they can't see me. But from where we're at right now, if we decided to go left side, it takes us like a lot longer before anybody can see us, right? Or can't see us, right? Which means that we're peeking way, way too far away, which could potentially get us killed here just from our positioning. All right, nice shots. All right. Yep. Out in the open, make sure we're and again, this might be slightly more difficult with a higher sensitivity, but we want to make sure we're focusing and going for headshots, especially when someone's like not moving at all, like the Mercy is here, right? Besides that, I think I'm gonna watch one more fight, and then I think we might go over crosshair placement after this next fight. I want to just make sure, I want to see some patterns before I'm going into anything in depth. All right, so good decision to probably not engage here. Winston would say it's probably not going to be the best idea if we try to go in. All right, but we are kind of going in. Oh, nice sucker on the corner.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Probably can roll, like once we see that we have our team here with us and they're backing us up, we can probably roll in and get super aggro because then we can get a flashbang in on them, potentially get some right clicks, and then that could help us finish them off.
It's
Well, and that's unfortunate. So, honestly, played that pretty decently. I think with a high noon, we want to make sure we're looking at the mercy there. As we did have her. Okay, it didn't. She's on our screen and she wasn't getting detected. It looked like, but in any case, yeah, we got booped off that. That's unfortunate. There's not a ton we could have done unless we were like just ult tracking. We knew that he had it. All right, I'm gonna see one more fight, and then we'll swap. Okay, so we swapped soldier.
Alright.
Now on on that topic, it looks like we played Tracer, McCree, Soldier, Genji, Ana, were the ones that you had listed that
Yeah.
you're currently playing. Um, do you play so Ana? Is that's just you play support once in a while, or?
Yeah, not often, but
Mm,
whenever like a few friends need me to play support, I'll play support.
all right. All right. So in this instance, we're wrapping around right a lot here, and I'd probably say we're probably not going to want to wrap around right, as right doesn't have too good of positioning. Coming around right side here, we don't really have much to work with. If we're on the right side, it's there's not much high ground here. We have this little ledge, and that's it, right? But besides that, we're not really gonna have too much team support. I'd probably say and it's also a very long wraparound. It takes us a long time to get over there. Whereas left side here, we have all the high. We have access to all this high ground. We have the ability to come anywhere on this left side. We just have a lot more open space to work with, and it doesn't take us as long to get there. So I'd probably say we'd want to stick on left side a little bit more often here, whereas we're going right side a lot more here, which probably isn't necessary and puts us out of the fight for a while. Now, when we
Yeah.
get over here, I'd probably like to see us drop a health pack so we can just get our health back. Make sure we're not sitting. Okay, yep, exactly right. We're dropping health pack. Good. So abilities, so honestly looking pretty decent. Okay, so here we um here we kind of run out into the open. So after that, let's excuse this part, right? So there we're just dodging the hook, but then we kind of run at the hog. Probably want to make sure we're not getting that close to him, but let's continue here. I think we're gonna talk about it now. All right, so we're 244. I think I've seen enough. So we're gonna talk about crosshair placement now. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah.
All right, well then we'll
Yeah.
just review it for you, and in case you're just not familiar with all the different aspects of it, and even if you are, this just so you understand what you're needing to work on here. In any case, right, crosshair placement is essentially placing your crosshair in the best place possible to hit the most and easiest shots, right? The big first part of this is making sure that we're aiming at head level, which a lot of the time we're not walking around aiming at head level. We're walking around kind of aiming here, and that means that when we come up against people to shoot, we have to adjust up and to the left or up and to the right. And anytime
Yeah.
we have to adjust further, that is a more difficult shot to hit, right? It's harder to hit this shot than it is if we just went, just a little bit over to the side, right? So the less adjustment means easier shot to hit. On top of that, it means that all of our just our default shots. So we're shooting down a corridor, we're shooting into tanks, or shields, or we're shooting, just at people naturally, right? All these shots, if we're aiming at head level, now just become default at headshots, right? They just defaultly headshots just because we're aiming there, right? So we just want to walk around aiming at this level. That way we're hitting headshots naturally rather than hitting body shots, right? The second thing, because we're not hitting too many headshots in that game, I don't know if I saw
Yeah.
many happening. The other thing to pay attention to is making sure we're aiming where we know people are going to be. So if we see someone's on the top right here, we're going to pre-aim top right at head level so that when he turns the corner, we're pretty much already looking at his head, right? We know he's top left, so we're going to pre-aim top left, already aiming there at head level. So when we turn the corner here, we're already aiming at his head, right? Now these guys are on a slope. They're down more, so on a same way on a Torbjorn we look lower, and on a tank we're going to look higher. On these guys we're going to look a little bit lower, right? So when we turn this corner, we're already looking directly at his head, right? That way headshots just become a lot more easier, and we're going to be hitting them much more frequently, whereas right now we're not hitting them too often. Alright, so let us get into the next, back into that game where we're on Busan, but
Yeah.
trying to find which one. Oh yeah, this one. It's very top.
Now traveling to Busan. Ready for battle.
Alright, so we had swap soldier here. Nope, we had over here. Yeah, so we're a little bit past this part.
Yeah, this is definitely a big mistake.
Okay, the big problem there was the big problem there was just the wide peak again, right? Just notice, like, honestly, I don't have too much of a problem with this, but you know what we want to do is two things. First off, is awareness, so we just don't notice the jump rat. But also, like when we turn this corner, we should probably just be sticking right here. But notice we're actually going to run past the corner, right? We're going to walk past the corner out in the open, and we also don't notice the jump rat when he's right next to us, and then those things turn this into a bad play. So that's honestly, this is completely fine. We just peak way too far, and then we also walk into them, right? And we don't notice the Junkrat when he's right next to us, right? When we're running away from something, try not to run in a straight line, right? Zigzag a little bit more so that we, we're not an easy target to hit. So if we're just running away from the Junkrat, right, just kind of move side to side rather than just running in a straight line, right? And then so far we've died very frequently. We've died 3 times, or was it 4 times?
I think it might be 4.
Yeah, might be 4. So we'll keep an eye on that because so far that's seeming like poor survivability, but we're only 3 minutes in. Honestly, focus more on winning the fight than contesting point. As soldier, you're not going to be able to contest point too easily, and here this is a pretty winnable fight as long as we're we're approaching it correctly here. It's a 6v6, right? We have our whole team. Actually, sorry, we're down 1 person, so it's a 5v6. This is a pretty decently winnable fight, but we're going to contest point for some reason. We're not going to be able to do that too well, right? At most, what do? We contest it for like 2 seconds and then we're dead. Not really going to be the play that we probably are going to want to make. We also are focusing the hog first here, which probably is going to be the thing that we want to focus here. Not the thing we want to be on. I think we might talk about target priority maybe a little bit, but at the moment, there's just that wasn't where we wanted to be standing. We don't want to run on the point. Okay, we're also good position to back up. So honestly, awareness not looking too terrible. Okay, very nice. Going right side once again. All right.
This is not good.
So why don't we talk about some positioning with soldiers? So 4 minutes here. We're just gonna go over a bunch of positioning things. Probably talk over like kind of 3 different categories at the moment because positioning is looking like one of the bigger ones. And then also I think we're going to talk about survivability as well at some point here, though I don't think now. In any case, first off, general positioning. If we are standing here, right, and the enemy team's standing there and they're all shooting at us, it takes us 1, 2.5 seconds to get behind cover. Now, from here, we can't get shot at because this is a solid object, and of course you can't shoot through solid objects, and that means that from here we're safe. But in that time it took us to run here, we died because we were out in the open for too long. Now from here we can shoot things just the same, we can do much of the same things, except for now we have a lot more survivability because in half of a second they see us, can't see us, can't see us, right? It takes half a second is a lot shorter of a time than 2.5 seconds, right? Which means that we have a lot more survivability and we're going to be able to stay alive a lot more if we are standing there, right? Now there's a lot of different types of cover. We can use slopes, we can use pillars when we're in between a helix, when we're reloading, when we're low HP, when we're being ulted at or shot at, right? We can use corners the same. We can use random objects we find sitting around, right? We can use the payload like that. We use pillar, corner, doorway, corner, and then also high ground usage, right? There's a big high ground on that map, yet I have not seen us use it once, right? There's that one above point, yet we haven't really gone there very much. High ground, very fantastic positioning, right? From here, the entire thing acts as natural cover. They can see us, now they can't see us. You can see us, Now he can't see us, right? We add in a crouch, same thing, right? So all of high ground acts as natural cover. Also, 2/3 of the characters in the game can't get to you on high ground, right? Like, most people can't reach you, and the characters that can reach you need to use abilities, right? On top of that, we have a ton of visibility. We can see people over here, over here, over here, right? Over here, and over here. But if we're on a low ground, now we can't see people over there, over there, over there, over there, or any of the high grounds, right? So high ground gives us a ton of visibility, right? So we just want to make sure that we're taking high grounds when it's an option. And then let me think. What was the other one I was going to talk about? I think. Oh, also soldier positioning, right? So soldier is a mid-range character, right? Soldier, that means that soldier prefers roughly this distance to that distance. Like, that's kind of the rough range in which soldier prefers, right? Maybe max that, right? Now he is capable of playing this, right? So like we could potentially, like, we can take this, but we're not going to prefer that in any sense, right? So when we're running in and we're jumping in on top of people, that's usually not going to be the play to make, because there's other characters that get a lot bigger of a benefit from being close to us than we do, right? Like, there's a lot more characters that benefit from being at that range than Soldier does, right? You have Reinhardt, Reaper, Mei, right? Junkrat, right? For an example, like in the last game where we got shredded by Junkrat when we ulted. So we're probably not going to most of the time want to step within this range and get too close, right? But we also don't want to get too far away, because Soldier has what you call fall off damage. So when we're going for headshots here, you're going to notice it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots to kill. If we back up here, now it's going to take us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots to kill, right? And the further away we get, it's actually going to take more and more, to where when we back all the way up to here, it's taking us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So being really far away isn't also going to be what you want to do. So we want to keep a medium distance, preferably high ground, not in the open. But if we went back and looked at what we did in that last fight, we kind of ran straight at them, right? We kind of just went charge, right? And then we just jumped on the point, right? Not the play we want to make most of the time. All right, and then now we've died, let's say 4 or 5 times, right? Just jump straight on the point, not out in the open, not the range that we prefer. Okay, notice the crosshair placement as we're approaching here, right? Now I think we actually adjust up here, but notice how, like, here we're approaching and we're low with the crosshair, and then we adjust up here, but it's like, oh. We also.
Yeah, I messed up that killer. I'm not sure how. I'm pretty sure she was like melee damage.
Yeah. So there we just didn't shoot when she was 1 HP and we had bullets left. Like here, she's 1 HP and we had 6 shots left and we just didn't shoot. All right, and then we missed it. We also just wasted a ton of blinks there. So here we blink in, we use our blink. We use another blink. Actually, I don't think we wasted too many. Now that I'm rewatching it, we just lost our blinks, all our blinks while we were coming back from spawn. Maybe recall not too needed there. Oh, make sure we're not running into the Junkrat mines. Okay. And now we're at, like, let's just say 6 deaths. All right, we definitely have to talk about this in a moment here. Let's just wait till the round ends. If it does, rather than coming in through main, probably go like top left. I think we're gonna talk about off angles too. Yeah, just some stuff on my mind that we'll talk about. All right, so game has lasted 5 minutes so far. The first 30 seconds was in spawn, so 4 minutes and a half. And so let's say 5 deaths in 4 minutes, right? Let's just take that rough average. Let's just also give you the benefit of the doubt and say this is like maybe a rough, like a little bit worse of a game. Let's just go 1 death a minute, right? 1 death. We have 1 death a minute, so that would mean in a 12-minute game and taking out 30 seconds per round or whatever, we come down to like 10 minutes, right? So that means we have 10 deaths, right?
Seems normal, yeah.
Yeah, roughly around 10 deaths, right? This game. which at the moment we're at 6 deaths and we're 5 minutes in. So actually, this game would probably be higher, I would imagine. Or we'd probably be more like 12-ish, right? But in any case, let's just go with the 10 deaths, right? And I just want to really emphasize the importance of, or the the importance of staying alive, right? Each death is 10 seconds of time where we are dead in spawn and respawning. 10 seconds of walking back to the fight, so that is 20 whole seconds, right? So that means it's 10 times 20 and then divided by 60 for seconds, right? Which means that we have roughly that is roughly 3 minutes and 20 seconds of time that we are not participating. Now let's just add in, and let's say it's 12. We'll just even it out here, and we'll say that that's 4 whole minutes, right? And that means that in this game, we are spending roughly 4 entire minutes doing absolutely nothing, which is enough time to have roughly 3 ultimates and be getting a ton of kills and be doing a lot of things. And also, it's not just 3 minutes or 4 minutes, sorry, where we're not doing anything, but it's 4 minutes while we're actively putting our team at a disadvantage, because when you die, it means that our team is more likely to lose that fight, right? Which means that we're actively losing the game during that time, right? So if we cut out our deaths, which is probably something we want to look to do here, is make sure we're dying a lot less, because when we die less, we're able to do more, right? We want to make sure we're paying attention to our deaths. So this is the first step, is identify why did we die, right? What was the mistake? Usually when you die, you have like 4 different things that could be the cause, right? You could have misused your abilities, you could have misused your not your ultimate, you could have misused or you could have been on the wrong positioning, you could have been unaware of your environment, or you could have been too aggressive, right? Those are some of the causes, right? A lot of the ones so far, I would say, are coming down to 2 of them: is being out of position and then also being way too aggressive. Those are probably the 2 main ones. We're not really misusing our abilities unless we're just counting running into their team, and we're also not like our awareness isn't too terrible. So those other ones are the main causes, right? So we want to identify, why did I die? Second thing is identify, what could I have done instead? So if we're in bad positioning, think, okay, where could I have been standing instead, right? That's just the process of improvement, is thinking, what was the mistake? What could I have done instead, right? And then finally, just make sure we're applying it. Try not to die in the future, right? Or die a lot less. If we're cutting down our deaths from 12 deaths and let's say we cut out 3 deaths out of that, now we're down to 3 minutes of time where we're not doing anything instead of 4 minutes, and we cut out an extra 3. Now we're down to 2 minutes instead of 4 minutes. So we've just added in an extra 2 minutes of game time, right? Where we're participating and actively winning fights, right? So we just want to make sure we're dying a lot less than we currently are, because right now we're dying a lot, and then that means that we're not really doing very much, as much as we could, right? So we're also swapping very frequently between these characters. Trying to think. Honestly, I don't have too much of a problem. We're stalling with Tracer. We were on the McCree and on the Soldier. Yep, not too much of an issue, I guess. Now I think we might talk about something else in a minute, but we'll take more of an eye on it, see if it continues. Alright, so right here, right off the bat, probably don't want to just immediately dash in after her, because first off, this is just it's very obvious, right? Because they're all gonna know that you're coming over here.
Yeah.
It's also just you're not gonna have the dash now to secure the kill. When she's standing still like that, maybe go for the shurikens faster. We also just now don't have any abilities because we've just used both abilities, and they're about to all turn around and kill us. So in this instance, we maybe rush this engagement where we're kind of going in immediately when we don't need to, and then now we're like 1 HP. We're kind of looking at their feet again here. Alright. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on our dashes, because right now dashes are seeming like they're kind of all over the place at the moment.
Definitely.
We're not really hitting too much with a lot of them, and oh, Nice. And we're kind of going past people a lot of the time, or just like, we're using it for like just purely mobility rather than just actually finishing things. Oh, yeah, that one was good. Um,
That's another one.
okay, can't be getting this aggro, right? Again, this is just kind of running in and feeding. This is almost certainly, I can guarantee that we're not going to get a kill out of this, right? Which means that we're not going to be able to get escape, right? We're just, I almost guarantee that we die here, right? Just because we don't have
That
a way
doesn't
to get
count.
out there. Okay, well now he was 1 HP and we get trapped, right? So we do die there, right? Don't want to be getting that aggro. Now, a better play might be to, like, this is a choke point. Where are they, if they're all sitting over here, where are they all going to be shooting?
Probably towards me.
Towards this direction, right? Through this
Yeah.
doorway. So what happens if we just come through here and we just deflect, right? Well, now we put everything the Junkrat's spamming out and just send it straight back at them and does a whole bunch of damage. And we probably don't want to just be getting that aggro because again we're just running straight into them. So that's a death that mainly was caused by aggression. Or we're way too over aggressive a lot here. I would probably say in a lot of these scenarios. So I'd like to see you tone it down, and just to clarify here, I don't want you to go so in the far in the opposite direction. Like usually you have a
Yeah.
scale with passiveness and aggressiveness. So on one at 0 you'd have passive, at 100 you'd have aggressive. Right now I'd probably say we're like at an 80 for aggressive, which is honestly not terrible. In certain situations, but it's not something you want to be constantly at, right? There's times where you can be at that aggressive, and there's times where you shouldn't be that aggressive. On average, you probably are going to want to be at 50. So I'm just saying tone it down from 80 to 50, whereas I don't want you to all of a sudden take it and go from 80 to 0 or 80 to 30, right? Because then you just be playing too passive, right? So in this instance, just want to make sure that we're playing more passive, right? Be like at a 50 instead of just running and sprinting into their team all the time, which is seeming like what we're constantly doing, right? We just want to make sure we're not doing that, right? Oh, get those dashes in, right? Honestly, I think dash is going a little bit underutilized. Dash is an insanely good finisher, and keep in mind that whenever you get a kill, it resets. So here, look at all these
We
things
got
that we
two
could just
there.
reset. So here
Yeah.
we kill the Junkrat, we get dash back. We can dash through the Mercy. She's 1 HP, right? That means that if we dash to the Mercy, we also damage Ana, which means that we get to double dash Ana, right? We get to go dash and then dash again, right? Or dash right or right click dash, right? Which means that we get, we can essentially get all these skills really easily, right? Like even right now when they're both 1 HP, we could go dash like super easily, and then their whole team's dead. And so Blade is really not necessary in this instance. So I think what we're gonna have to talk about is how to tell whether or not a fight's won or lost, as well here. So how to tell whether or not a fight's won or lost. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but the main thing is just watching kill feed. This is also a big one I want you to pay attention to because it affects your aggression, right? When you are up 1 to 2 people, that is an advantage. When you have an advantage, you can play more aggressive, right? So you now are taking your 50% aggressiveness and you're maybe bringing it up to like a 60, maybe a 70, right? When you're up 1 to 2 people. When you're up 2 to 3 people, that is a one fight. That would be that last fight here, where when you're up so many people, you've already won it, and when you've won a fight, ulting is just overkill. You've already won the fight, so what's the ult going to do to change? It's not going to change anything. It's just going to be wasting it, right? So whereas we could have used it in the next fight, so we want to make sure we're not ulting. We also want to make sure we're playing super aggressive because if we don't, then they might just get away, and we also want to get stagger kills, and we want to get extra ult charge. So we want to push in super aggro, and when we've won a fight, we can. That's where we can go past 70, and we can go up to 80, 90, 100, right? On our aggression meter. Now this also goes the exact opposite way, right? When we're down 1 to 2 people, that's where we're at a disadvantage. When we're at a disadvantage, we might want to play a little bit more passive, right? But we didn't lose the fight yet. We're just losing the fight. So in that instance, we might go from like a 50 to like a 40 or maybe a 30 a max, right? And then when we're down 2 to 3 people, that's a lost fight. No ult in a lost fight because that's not going to change the fact that you lost. And you also want to look to get out if possible or let them kill you so that you're not staggering yourself. And then in that fight, and when you've lost the fight, you now therefore go down to like a 30, 20, 10-0, or like sorry, 20, 30, 10-0, right? Go down really passive once you've lost the fight. So that's just how the scale works, how the aggression works. There's also a ton of other things that go into whether or not you won or lost. So for example, another thing there would just be the fact that their entire team was 1 HP, right? Even the people who did survive. So by the time I used Blade, we just were a very significant advantage, and Blade was not necessary, right? So just rewatch that real quick. Right, so Junkrat dies immediately. We actually, and then Ball dies, so now we're up 2 people, and 2 people, like, and I guess, let me explain, I guess let me go into the rest of here, but there's a bunch of other things that go into whether or not you're winning or losing as well, and those things affect your aggression as well, right? You have which team has more health, which team has more ultimates, which team is using more ultimates, which team has better spawns, which team has better positioning, which team, has more abilities, right? There's a bunch of things that go into this, and we just have to pay attention and be aware of our surroundings. Right now, we're up 2 people, which potentially isn't necessarily a 1 fight, but the fact that Ana and Mercy are 1 HP means that yes, this is the 1 fight because they're gonna die in like 1 second here, which they do, right? They're dead instantly. So in that scenario, just Blade gets wasted because that was a 1 fight. So we just want to pay attention to our surroundings, pay attention to the fact that it's 1. All right. Actually, honestly, I ultimates, I can't even really rate them accurately. So the one I saw there, or I guess the one I saw there was we just wanted to use in a better fight, and then I think I saw us use one more visor and we kind of sprinted into them. So
Yeah, and the high noon where I just killed the Sigma.
yeah, you're right. So on also Ultimate's not looking the worst, but I think a lot of other like kind of aspects of the game are kind of making your ultimates worse. Like they're just awareness, the other one to aggressive and survivability would have helped with it. High noon wasn't too terrible when we went for it, but it's just ults could be a lot better. But I think it's honestly not. It's being caused by a lot of other areas. Okay, make sure you're not focusing too much on the ball here when their entire team's probably running in. Alright, very good. Mechanically, we're pretty sound. Again, way too aggro.
Yeah.
We're about to cap point. There's 95 seconds left. So where's the one place the enemy team has to go?
Through the door.
No.
2 point.
Exactly. Right. They most certainly do not have to go through here. They have this way and this way and this way, right? They have 4 different options here. They don't have to go through that one door, but they do have to go to point, right? And if we are going, if we're waiting for them to come to point, we have our entire team who can all focus them down one by one while they trickle in. But if we push forwards to the door here, well, now we've gone past our entire team, and now we don't have any team support. And in fact, this is actually worse for us because now we're essentially 1v, like if they do come top here as a team, which they do, right now we're like 1v3ing, right? So here in this instance, right, look how we go in, and they have multiple people coming up top here, which means that we go in, and it's essentially a 1v4 here, right, when we're engaging. Because we're going in, and there's a Zarya, and a Nanofara, and a Mercy, and an Ana, and almost a Doomfist, right? So we're going in, and it's a 1v, look how many that we're at, right? And then we have our whole team over on point there. So in this instance, we probably just want to be over on point, because that's probably going to cause us to not die the best. Whereas here, there's maybe a good chance we die. So we just want to make sure that we're not going that far forwards so that we're not dying and killing ourselves. Just potentially very dangerous there. All right. we're deflecting it. Make sure that we're going we're aiming it. Right, so if we're going.
Yeah, no, I did it way too late, so I had to stop my supports from getting damaged.
Okay, nice deflect. We're constantly. Okay, so we're at 8 or at 10 minutes. We're constantly dashing in to use it for mobility. I'd much rather see us using it to finish off targets. Now there's going to be situations where, of course, use it for mobility, but I'd say that's almost like the secondary usage of it. Whereas right now we're using that as the primary usage, right? Dash has those are the main two usages that you can get out of dash, is to use it for mobility or to use it to use it for damage and get a kill, right? If you're using it for mobility, you can use it to get back from spawn faster. You can use it to dodge out abilities. You can use it to get, if somebody's, for example, let's say Ana's 1 HP, we can use it and we're too far away, right? We can dash over to Ana so we can hit her with shurikens easier, right? That's an
Yeah.
example. But in that situation, that's much different than this one. Why is it different? Well, because it's almost a guaranteed kill on the Ana, right? It's almost guaranteed that we get the kills. The same thing as if we just dashed her normally and she's 1 HP. That means that we get the dash reset and we're able to just dash right out. But if we're dashing in when she's full HP into the middle of their team, well, now we're stuck again, like kind of 1v6ing or 1v5ing, and we don't have a dash to get away, right? And we don't have our extra damage from our dash to be able to kill anything. So make sure that we're not instantly getting inside of their team, except for a few different scenarios, right? If someone's 1 HP, go for it. If someone's out of position and they're on their own, go for it. But if we have our ultimate, go for it. But we're not going to want to go in if we don't have an opportunity, right? Genji is an opportunist character. He doesn't go in when there's no opportunity. So go, like if Ana's 1 HP, if she's out of range, you can dash to kill her. If she's in range, you can dash to kill her. But you don't want to just dash in with no plan or nothing backing up your dash in, right? Now we're getting away with it sometimes here, and the reason why you're getting away with it mainly is because this is a low rank, right? But you're gonna find that this is gonna be punished a lot more the higher and higher you go. And right now, I believe you're platinum, right?
Just about.
Just about. All right. Or you mean you're just below it, or right?
No,
No,
like a few SR in plat
from above or below?
above.
Above. Okay. Then let's say we were getting into diamond or masters games, right? High diamond games, right? How are we going to be able to hang with high diamond players if we're making mistakes that they're going to be able to easily punish, right? This is just something that anybody at a higher rank is going to easily shred you over. Yet, if we're trying to hang at the higher rank, we need to be able to not make these mistakes, right? So for now, and then even in that situation, it does get punished, right? And
Yeah.
just keeping in mind that 1-to-1 is not a good KD for a DPS to have, right?
No.
or 1 KD. So just way too many deaths, focusing on survivability once again.
Same mistake again.
Okay. In this scenario, engaging maybe a little bit too early. Like when they have a bunch of people who can still see us, maybe potentially like we could have waited out a little bit longer until like we had a better opportunity. Yeah, the thing is you just want to like be prepared for Ana to look at us. So like that's unfortunate because we're kind of, yeah, maybe like just getting the deflect off there is really the only thing that saves us. Again, just like really far into their team. So us doing it when they're over here is going to be much better for us, because that means that, right now they all turn around and it's a 1v4, right? But if we're doing this when they're closer, well, now we have our team to support us, and if we're low, we just get out to our team, right? So that's the big thing. Also, again, just kind of dashing in immediately where it's in the middle of 4 people. Instead, maybe we could poke from the side and wait for an opportunity. Like on Genji, like I said before, you're an opportunist, right? So, for example, we can make our own opportunities by poking until someone's low HP, right? And then if Ana's low HP because we threw shurikens at her, then maybe now you can get aggro because now you have dash to get out because you got the dash reset, right? But we can't go in when we don't have an opportunity. Okay, good decision to back out there.
Not sure why I deflected, to be honest.
The advantage is mine.
Alright, so we're looking for a blade here, I would imagine. We're going to have a Mercy Pocket, hopefully. Oh. Not too much of our fault. And then we... Oh, oh my goodness, that was so close to us getting killed.
Yeah.
Alright, and then McCree kind of pops and carries. Alright, now we're looking here probably for a grab blade would be a really good thing to go for. And it's also last fight, so hopefully that's where we're going to get off here. Yep, really solid. Yep, really good blade mechanics. Honestly, ultimate's not too terrible. Alright. So we did kind of blow. Oh, make sure not dying to the Junkrat.
Yeah.
Death mines. Right? That's the second time it happened. Make sure we're learning from our mistakes, right? If we are dying, continue like fool me once type of thing, right? You fool me once, it's shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? Here, like if it's happening multiple times in a row, we want to make sure that we're learning from these mistakes, and when we Junkrat dies, we're not walking into his body, right? And then once again, survivability, just like even at the up until the very end of the game, very massive thing is just survivability, meaning we want to just stay alive to do more things, right? Because we died so frequently. All right. Now do you have that other game for me?
Yeah. It's this one, I think. This is a. It's a what's it called? Hog. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. It's just hog. I
You
think.
when you're playing Hog.
Yeah.
Okay. Now why don't we talk about something real quick? I guess before we get into that. Would you say and let me figure out how to wear this. So, this out of everything that I say, this is the most up to you thing that I say, and it's very like it depends on what your goals and priorities are when you're playing Overwatch, because everyone's goals and priorities are different. If your goal and priority is to have fun and you play to have fun and you have fun playing a variety of characters and for example, like that's exactly what I do now. I flex and play whatever I want to play,
Yeah.
just because I have fun doing that and I'm not playing the game competitively anymore. But if your goal, alternatively, is to win games and to climb SR or to improve or to play very competitively, then my recommendation would be to kind of bring down your hero pool a little bit, as it's seeming like you play
Mm.
a lot of different characters. So even just playing a couple different things, right? First off, playing characters in a bunch of different roles, like try to maybe stick with with one role, because if you're spreading out your characters even within the same role, but if you're spreading, other roles are very different, right? Every single character in the game, especially across other roles, have different positioning, different play styles, different mechanics, different abilities, different ultimates, right? And they play differently. So when you spread out your playtime, let's say like we have 6 characters, because so far I've heard you play 6 characters, right? You play Tracer, McCree, Soldier, Genji, Ana, Roadhog. um,
Yeah.
if you have your playtime on 6 different characters, let's just say for the sake of for an easy explanation here, that's evenish. Then that means that you're going to let's say you have like 600 hours in the game, right? That's roughly 100 hours each, right? Which means that you have 100 hours on each character. But if you instead did cut it down to 3 characters, right, where you're really focusing in and putting attention mainly on those 3 characters, now that is 200 hours on each, right, which is double the amount of time where that you're learning their specific play styles, because they're all played very differently. Now, if we take that down to 2, now that's an additional 2 times, and it's 3 times the amount than it was at 6, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a lot more time that we get to put into those characters. And that's not to say that we never play any other character. Like if your teammates want you to play a different character like once in a while, no problem with that. If you're just playing to have fun for a day, go ahead and play other characters. If the character is really necessary, go ahead and play those characters. But it's merely saying that you want to prioritize certain characters rather than just spreading yourself way too thin, right?
Yeah. I should have another DPS game. So I definitely should play one. Uh, yeah, I forgot about this one actually. This Dorado.
All right.
Uh, Played McCree for most of it.
Traveling to Dorado. Ready for battle.
All right. So we were on T soda, DP soda. All right. Number 3 again.
For your safety, please. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Oh, stick it there for like one extra half of a second if she's, if she's 1 HP like that. I don't think we were being pressured immediately, and then we were also currently being healed by. So this is an example of like us backing up too soon. So this is, most of the time here it's been we have been way too aggressive, but in this instance we're a little bit too passive. So here we got shot at once, right? We have 147 HP. We have a mercy pocket on us. We have a health pack available, and Farah is 1 HP. This is a situation where we should probably continue to shoot at Farah. If we're being shot at, we also have the option to like back up away from the ledge and still shoot at Farah, right? We can do this and still shoot her, but because we don't, then she possibly gets away there. I don't know if we still kill her. No, she gets away because we weren't, right? Nice helix. Good health pack abilities, which are looking solid. Nice. Really good positioning up here on the high ground. I like it. Solid. Mechanics looking good. Ability usage looking good. No problems yet. Make sure we're requesting healing. We're not sticking at 140 HP. Good immediate backup after we saw the Pharah was on top of us and we didn't have abilities. But we swapped to the wrong target. Alright. Here we're on the... We swapped... Sorry, let's get back to where we were, right? We're right here. We start shooting at the Pharah, and then if he goes around the corner, we move to the side, and we can still shoot her at, right? But we, like, really pretty simply here, but we start shooting at the monkey now, and the monkey just primals, and we lose our opportunity to kill the Pharah, which probably would have been pretty easy.
And this is about
Yeah, and
3
then
seconds worth of dying.
here, oh snap, I skipped too far back again. Alright, in this instance, okay, supports are all the way over there. Maybe, so usually you're going to want to drop your health pack sooner rather than later. So like as we're pushing in on this angle to shoot people, we drop it so that we can stay here longer rather than being forced to drop it after we're 50 HP, right? But at this point, there's not much we can do once we get cornered in the room, right? Most deaths you're going to have something you can fix, right? Most deaths you will have something, but not every death, right? Probably like 75% of deaths you have something you could have done better, or maybe even a little bit more than that, honestly, like 85% of deaths you could have done something, but the other 25, whatever, 10 percent of deaths, not really much you could have done. That one, maybe dropping health pack a little bit earlier, maybe not peaking so hard, but besides that, there wasn't a ton. Drop a health pack. We probably just sit on that angle if we just drop a health pack. We don't have to back up so far.
Lights out.
Oh, did you just do a jump reload?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Lights out.
Oh, that's an I don't. Are you aware of that tech, or do you just do it accidentally?
Oh, that's no, I don't have a clue what that is.
Alright, so jump reload essentially just means that, like, this is especially very handy when you're jumping off of a ledge. So this means that you can continue to sprint while, and keep your momentum while in the middle of a reload. So normally if you're just reloading, that, stops your sprint and it means that you're walking real slow. But if you're in midair, that doesn't apply, and you can keep your sprint momentum. So if you specifically jump off like a ledge, for example, or even just in place, you can jump while reloading, and then that kind of cuts out some of the time where you're just standing still. So that's just a tech you can do. It's not insanely important, but it is a thing.
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking for visor here. Good position to back up, but good awareness. Way too aggressive here on the front line, right? So again, probably same problem, right? So good awareness to back up from the high ground, but here we don't pay attention to health bar, first off. Second off, this is a real poor position for us to be running in on the front line. 92 HP, drop health back or request healing or anything, just get our health back. But instead we're kind of running here on the front line, very, very far on the open, no cover anywhere. We're also playing close range rather than medium range, like we've discussed multiple times. And then because of that, we die, right? So as you can see, maybe for the next one we do, I'll I'll try to, like, the next death we have, I'll try to see if I can get you to figure out what you did wrong. But in that one, right, like, that was just
Knock me down.
because we were way too aggressive and out in the open, right? So it's aggression and positioning. All right, why don't we skip ahead here? I want to, because we're about to get to the review and main points. All right, maybe let's go to this one right here.
Knock me down and I'll keep getting back.
Oh snap! Did I skip way too far back? No, this is it. Okay. Anything wrong with like, just yell it out if you see something you're doing wrong.
I'd probably say pushing up without support.
Or pushing up in
Technically
a
they're on
loss,
their own.
or
Yeah,
pushing up
yeah.
in a fight that's already lost, right? Is the big one here, right? And then that means that they're able to catch up with us, and then we die, right? So the big thing there was just that we pushed in when we lost the fight, and then maybe we didn't back out fast enough. All right, now we're going to leave here and go to the main menu. Now we're going to go over, we're going to do a review, and then go over the main points, and then wrap up the session from there. So we were on a ton of different characters here, so why don't we'll just go over generic one. We're on Soldier the most, I think, and then we'll go over some of the specifics of them afterwards. But in any case, start off ability usage on. Let's come to ability usage last, since that's like different for every character, and ultimate usage last. So mechanics, right? Make sure that we're keeping crosshair placement. Make sure that we're aiming where we know people are going to be. Make sure that we're shooting at not tanks. We didn't talk too much about that, but just make sure we're shooting at supports and DPS whenever possible, not focusing too much on tanks. Besides that, mechanics, honestly, we talked about lowering your sensitivity as well, and maybe getting a mouse, probably getting a mouse pad. Honestly, I would say is even more important than even lowering sensitivity. Besides that, not a ton with mechanics. Mechanics honestly seem pretty decent. Aside from those things, right? Hitting more headshots, that was a big one. On from there. Let's go to positioning next, right? Positioning, tons of stuff to work with, right? Now, with positioning, right, we want to make sure that we are using cover, right? Not standing here, but we're standing over here. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Make sure that we are taking high grounds. High grounds are fantastic positioning. Make sure that we're standing at on mid-range characters such as Soldier and McCree. We are standing at a mid-range, right? So like here to there or there, right? We're not standing too close. We're not running into them. But that basically applies to most of the characters we are working with. A lot of times they got way too aggro, right? And we're kind of running out to the open, right? So make sure we're using good cover usage. This was one of the big ones that also led into survivability, but because it was, I probably say survivability was a mixture of, actually, yeah, we'll tie survivability in with positioning, because I say a good chunk of it was it was both the two main things that were going into survivability was sorry, I'm trying to think about how to word all this. Sorry.
Yeah, it's alright.
We'll make survivability its own category, right? Survivability was its own thing because we were equally bad with both positioning and aggression, and that got us killed a ton, right? But both being out of position and being way too aggressive were the two main causes of us dying. We talked about deaths, right? Survivability, making sure we're trying to stay alive because we died quite a bit, right? We want to make sure that we're not, being out in the open. We want to make sure we're not running into their team, because that killed us a ton. The other two things that can kill us are misuse of abilities and also just not having good awareness of our surroundings, but those weren't as common, though they were still a thing, I think. Then on from there, awareness, right? Awareness/aggression. This one we will combo, where this is going to be an awareness/aggression one. Aggression was a pretty big thing as well. So awareness, pay attention to health bar, draw the health back if you need it. Request healing. This is a good habit to get into so that you get healing faster from your supports. Make sure that we are paying attention to our surroundings, that we're paying attention to where's my team, where's the enemy team. Pay attention, big one here, big one. Pay attention to kill feed, and also just what's happening in the fight so we know whether or not we're winning or losing a fight, right? Just as a quick reminder, 1 to 2 is a advantage or disadvantage, 2 to 3 is a won or lost fight, no ults and won or lost fights, and we also amp up our aggression, right, and get more and more aggressive if we're winning, less and less aggressive if we're losing, right? That the other things, there's a bunch of other things that go into aggression as well, right? And go into whether or not you're winning or losing a fight, right? How much health do people have? Who has close response? Who has more ults? Who's using more ults? Who has more abilities? Who has better positioning? Right? A ton of different things, and we have to pay attention to all those things so we know when can we get aggressive, when do we play passive, right? For the most part, aggression, we are playing way too aggressive most of the time. We are at kind of a constant 80 on our aggression, tone it down to like a 50, right, where we're not constantly running into their team. Honestly, I might even say like past 80. I'd probably say we're at kind of like maybe like a 85, 90 a lot of the time. Where we're just kind of running into like our play style was kind of like we'd be like, okay, I'm shooting, and then we're like, oh yeah, I'm running into them, right, and we just go like go get it right up here, right, and then we go, right. Just make sure that we're not doing that, right? We're toning it down to like a 50, and then as the situation entails, we get more aggressive or less aggressive, right? Moving on to ultimate usage off of that, right? Ults, make sure we're not using them in fights that are won or lost. Make sure that we're, besides that, honestly, they weren't too terrible. What were the other ones we used? We used a High Noon. The High Noon was good. We used Visor. We died because we ran into their team, so that was on aggression. When we also used two or three blades. Blades mechanics looked really good, and the timing looked really decent, and we didn't hold on to it for forever. Just making sure that when we're going for it, we're not doing it in between in a won or lost fight, right? That was the big one, right? And paying attention to our environment. Now, so ultimate's honestly not too shabby. Abilities, right? We went over soldier. Make sure health backing faster. So whenever we're visoring, right? Who are they going to look at? The enemy team.
Me if I'm visoring.
Yep. So we can probably just plop down health back to start off. When we're coming in on a different angle, we can just, if we're coming up to high ground or something like that, we can just plop down health back if we know they're going to look at us. This allows us to stay here longer, right? Just make sure we're using it more frequently and we're dropping it a little bit faster maybe. Helix looking good. Sprint looking good, right? Genji, dash is a big one. We wanted to get, and then deflect also, I think we kind of people didn't really shoot into it that often. Make sure we're using it when people are actually shooting at us. A lot of times I think we used it too early, and then people just say, oh, okay, Genji's deflecting, let me not shoot at him. Right? So make sure we're not using that or deflect too early. Make sure we're not, or that we are waiting until people are actually shooting at us, right? And then dash, constantly way too aggressive with it, right? Make sure we're mainly using it to finish off kills, right? On Genji in particular, the bit of not like kind of a character specific thing was his play style. Make sure we're playing as an opportunist, right? So if we see someone who's 1 HP, someone who's out of position, someone who's low, right? We can dash in because we're going to immediately get the dash reset. And we can go in more aggro, and then we can dash out, right? Don't go in super aggro when you don't have abilities, right? Don't jump into 6 people if you don't have a reason to, right? You can get more aggro if you have your blade. If you poke someone to low HP, so they're all full HP, but if we get in a couple shurikens, now we can go in, right? Because we made an opportunity, right? And then we just have dash to get out. But there are a lot of situations where we would just like dash, like where our playstyle would look like this, where there's like 4 people, we would go in on our own, where we would just like dash in without getting damage in, and then we just go super aggro right off the bat, and then we just die because we didn't have any way to secure a kill, right? That's just big playstyle thing on our Genji. Dash really needs work. What other characters we play? We play Tracer very briefly, so I'm not even gonna go over her. And then we played McCree as well, right? Honestly, nothing really with the abilities, so nothing to say there. So I guess that was it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then main points. Number 1, I'm going to put at the awareness/aggression, right? Aggression being the biggest thing to work on, right? Because that led to a ton of deaths, to a ton of everything going wrong, right? We died a ton off of that. We constantly weren't able to do things because we were in bad positions, right? Number 2, I'm going to put at probably positioning, and then survivability, though I'd probably say is a very, very big, massive thing. It's also something that gets solved if you fix those other 2 things, right? So positioning had a lot of different things to work on, and if you fix those positioning things, your survivability will come as a result, right? So survivability then comes in as number 3, right? Number 4 is going to come in at probably mechanics. Number 5 is going to be probably this one changes across the different characters. I'd probably say in general ultimates, and then the 6 would be abilities. But then on Genji, I'd say it's the opposite. On Genji, you just need to focus on your ability usage, right? So that's kind of the main points of what you want to look to work on. Do you have any questions on anything we've talked about?
Nothing I can think of. No.
All right. Well, then I'm just going to stop the recording.